my talk today is about managing the expectations for last year and this year. And I'm going to talk about what people expect from crypto teams or blockchain development in general. And well, I'm going to shamelessly plug our product at the end. So I'm Eugene. I'm director of product at Paytomat. Should I go on the stage or? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Eugene Zhenya in Russian. I'm the director of product at Paytomat. And I'm going to talk to you about, yeah, so the first slide was this. And the name of the talk is Expectations vs Reality, because like many people were expecting a lot in the year 2017 and 2018. So I'm going to talk about how that played out now and where we are now. All right, so the point is, and the case is that you all know that, or most of you do, is that 2 years ago there were very few clouds and in the sky of the blockchain world. So everyone was expecting to be a millionaire in the coming year or something like that. No one was selling whatever digital assets they had, and the future looked bright. So the markets do have a tendency to go in cycles. So we are, I think, still are in the next cycle, which is the bear one. And it is what many people call the crypto hangover. And it is hangover for a reason. Many people were expecting miracles from the teams. So like you were expecting miracles from Tezos when it's launched. You're expecting miracles from Polkadot, which never launched. You're expecting a lot of them. And many of them still have that hope. But I would say that the most of those dreams are now crushed. Okay? So, and this is well, not going to be a pessimistic talk, right? What interests me more than anything else is what people think is important to develop in the blockchain world right now. And many people, both investors and developers, seem to focus on the protocols, right? So you hear it here and there, so it's trendy to say what you're investing on. Oh, I'm investing on this protocol, it's going to be the next whatever. And for a reason, right? So the protocols are the basic foundation of what can grow into the Web 3 or what can grow into hosting the biggest applications of the world of tomorrow. So the reason why the previous traditional or centralized system did so well, including Facebook or some apps like that, on the application layer is that because they were using free protocols. Okay, so if you would not imagine Mark Zuckerberg go to someone and this someone would say him, okay, you're gonna pay me X for using my protocol. So there would be no Facebook, there would be no Google, at least as we know them. If the protocols of yesterday were monetized, there would be no apps of this scale today, or might not be. And this is why everyone is crazy about protocols. So the main question is, do we have enough of them already? And what keeps and what propels us into developing and wanting to develop new protocols, okay? So the basic geography of how the team, so this is very basic geography, Ethereum in Europe, base layer in the States, EOS and stuff in Asia. This is very crude and this is super rough, right? So this doesn't mean that it is just there. It means that whenever an investor or a developer looks at the blockchain world, so they seem to understand that, okay, if I'm gonna go with the ETH crowd, then I'm gonna stay in Europe. If I want something from the base layer developed, then I'm gonna move to the States. If I want EOS, I'm gonna probably move to Asia. So my idea is what propels the development of the protocols of which we have enough already is inertia, and the inertia of both investors and developers. So we seem to have enough of them, and still we go on planning them, right? If the protocols that are available on the markets today would all deliver, we would probably live in a better world. But also, the biggest elephant in the room is adoption. And you're not seeing many use cases, you're not seeing many apps that are around based on those protocols. And why is that? So this is also because apps that should come as a second step are still a bit far away. So some people do try and develop them. So some people develop, like us, infrastructure products. Some people develop wallets. Some people develop solutions. But so my point is that I argue that distributed apps, I don't know how, like most of you are familiar with distributed apps. So do you know what a DApp is? Right, cool, you don't. So a DApp meaning that it's an application, all right? So I'm gonna girl over here. Sorry, I don't know your name. Yeah, so a DApp is something that sits on a distributed infrastructure and essentially has no center of command. Or maybe a center of command is rephrasing is made by a consensus of the people who are using it. So it's the first comes the base layer in form of the protocol, next the apps. So the apps are a logical continuation to what should run on the blockchain. And the example are CryptoKitties, or yeah, whatever. Not many of them. Even if you try to mention them, there aren't many. There are some. Like most of the EOS network dApps are gambling. So the gambling is usually banned. So having no central authority dApps are very cool. The point is that normal people, and I mean normal in a good way, non-tech savvy people are not much interested in dApps. Technology freaks, I think, tend to over-evaluate the importance of decentralization in general. So I've spent last of previous year going in Asia, and it's even more obvious that the people from Asia don't care much about the absence of central authority. What they care is security, maybe transparency, but certainly not the absence of whatever bank central authority. On the other hand, they would be happy if there was someone. Why are custodian services so important? Why is security so important? Is because people fear that they might lose their whatever private keys, and a good custodian is usually much harder to breach into than a stupid user. So and most users are stupid. So this is. And again, so I'm gonna partially translate this from Russian because either Ukrainian or English-speaking people insisted on it being in English. So, and decentralization is not much of a worry to normal people. And one of the points that I wanted to make is on example of EOS, which I'm not exactly trying to defend in this case, but there recently has been a fake transaction in EOS, or at least an attempt of fake transaction in EOS in billions of dollars. And of course, it didn't go through. So what the point of this is that EOS is still a step further than a central bank, because in a central bank, even if there would be a fraudulent or whatever transaction, you wouldn't even know about it. So I think that the importance of transparency is not to be underestimated. So the importance of decentralization sometimes is dubious. And the point is that systems could be decentralized, but people cannot. So it's a very tricky question. So one of the more rigid, at least it seems, Ethereum network is still vulnerable to that beautiful thought leader of theirs in a t-shirt with kitties or whatever he's wearing now. And so it is still vulnerable and it's still centralized up to a point, right? One of the key things that we think would be the next big thing is something that you could really put to use. So something that has value not because it is decentralized, but something that has value because it's a real financial service. So an example of that would be a loan on your crypto. It would be a rating which is based on your social circle. It would be an exchange in your pocket, or it would be any access to decentralized finance as we know it. So for now, decentralized finance is a buzzword. So we do hope that tomorrow it will become something more. So the most prominent and the most mentioned groups and target groups of people are the unbanked and the underbanked. So I think that we in Ukraine at least fall into the underbanked because like everyone owns a privat card, okay, or monobank or whatever. But it's a bank that gives you only boxed solution of what's available. So if you want to have a quick loan, most probably you cannot. If you want flexible arrangements with your bank about a loan or any financial instruments, you can't. But you do have a payment card. So that's, to me at least, that's not a scientific definition. That's underbanked. The reason why Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever, even being volatile, are so popular, I think, here is that people are used to not putting trust into banks, right? Well, I actually put this slide just for it to be there. I don't know where the money is. So there are multiple islands of money purposely being shown, so like someone is shaking it in front of your face, so one of them is the Binance Launchpad or whatever. So people are shaking money in front of your face for you to think that there's a lot of money in there. There's only money up to a greater fool. So, but in general, long-term or mid-term, is up to those who will deliver financial service that's real. So now to semi-shameless plug. So we at Paytomat have reevaluated our retail strategy. So we used to, 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm almost done. So we are, we used to have a strategy, a long-term or mid-term, that relied on retail payments. Like people would come to a restaurant and pay with crypto. So since people seem to not be very much willing to pay with crypto, that's the long-term plan now, right? So what is short and what is mid-term? For us, it is financial services, and for us, it's wallet-centric development and paid or free services based around that wallet. And I think, modestly again, that if at least 10, 20 to 50 teams would deliver a financial service that could be used in a whatever developing country or developed country, we again would be in a different position. So one example is that we recently partnered with NCR, which are a Fortune 500 company, and would be delivering our solutions to the Latin American market, which I think is pretty cool. So again, the value of those financial services and the value of what blockchain brings changes a lot from country to country. So these are the contexts that you cannot see, a very cleverly chosen font. There's my email and the second my phone number. So if you have any questions, если вы хотите что-то спросить на тему децентрализованного finance, или почему мы называем себя инфраструктурным решением, или вообще о чем я говорил, now is your chance to do so.